Hey there, to all my fellow riverboat fans. Today's video is a bit of a somber one. I'm going to show you some ships that have officially sailed into the sunset, vessels we'll never see on Russian rivers again. Some were lost to tragic accidents, while others simply reached the end of the line or were scrapped as part of the fleet renewal program. Either way, these ships are gone for good. They were caught by my lens once upon a time, but will never get the chance to step aboard for another voyage. Let's take it from the top, starting with the Anna Akmatova. Built in 1960, this ship wore many hats and names: Dnieper, Mikhail Nazarov, Don, and Vladimir Monomakh. In the fall of 2011, I actually caught her farewell tour, the very last cruise she ever made. After that trip, she was laid up for the winter at the Iksha Reservoir in the Moscow region. But she never made it to spring. On January 29, 2012, while undergoing repairs, a fire broke out on the two-deck vessel. The blaze partially gutted the main and middle decks. Initially, there were plans to bring her back to life, but they fell through, and she was finally scrapped in November 2018. There's another ship on the lost list that I once cruised on, the VM Zitzv. Built in 1960, her original name was Angara. I vividly remember the captain, Irina Valerievna Portnyagina, one of the few women at the helm, and the cinema hall on the main deck where the seating was tiered, so every row was higher than the last. Since August 2011, she had been sitting idle in Ufa, and in 2018, she was finally dismantled and scrapped. Third on our list is the Gabdulla Tukai, a Project 305 vessel built in 1962, originally named Chulim. I managed to snag a cruise on this one too. I traveled the Moscow-Perm-Moscow route, and the journey took us 16 days. The ship never returned to service after 2012 and was scrapped in Ufa in 2018. The next ship also met its end in a fire, a Project 305 passenger vessel from 1963. Its past names included Kuban and Alexander Pirogov. In 2009, she was converted into a banquet boat and renamed Fyodor Ushakov, and in 2017, she was renamed Nere. While wintering at Moscow's Northern River Terminal, she burned down in the early spring of 2018. Another Project 305 ship made it into the video, the Hermitage. Built in 1963, she previously went by Sukhona and Stepan Zdorovtsev. In July 2010, work was underway to refit her into a high-end cruiser for the 2011 season. However, the industry took a massive hit and demand evaporated following the Bulgaria disaster. The ship never entered service and was scrapped in October 2016 at the Pota Pervy Comuna backwater. On July 10, 2011, a horrific tragedy occurred due to technical failures and sheer negligence. The diesel-electric ship Bulgaria, built in 1955, Project 785, formerly the Ukraina, sank in the Kubyshev Reservoir near Kamskaya Ustia. 122 lives were lost. The wreck was raised by late July and moved to a dry dock at the Kubyshev backwater for the investigation. In February 2016, she was broken up for scrap right there. The Kyaz Vorensav was another Project 785 from 1955. Her former names were Estonia and Kievskaya Rus. In August 2003, she was taken in for a massive overhaul but never worked again. From the fall of 2003, she sat at the Port Kladokomit pier on the Himki Reservoir in Moscow. She was finally scrapped in October 2018 at the Belogorodskaya shipyard in the Tver region. Then we have the GV Plananov, a 1959 Project 588 ship. After the owner went bust in 2014, she was left to rot in a backwater near Nizhny Novgorod. In 2020, she was scrapped at the Pota Pervy Comuna yard. The IS Turjanev was a three-deck ship built in 1959 under Project 588. A refit was planned between 2006 and 2009, but the 2008 financial crisis put those plans on ice, and the work was never finished. She was scrapped in November 2017 at the Chkalovskaya shipyard. Another Project 588 ship was the Kabargan, built in 1957, which had a particularly rough ending. It changed names several times: Dmitry Donskoy, Kabarganya, and Kabargan. In 2014, it was renamed Kyaz Donskoy. On October 4, 2016, the ship sank while laid up at the Budyakov shipyard in Zvenigovo. A few months later, while she was still partially underwater, a fire broke out in the superstructure. Talk about bad luck. She was finally raised and scrapped during the winter of 2018. Our next ship, a 1956 Project 588, went through 5 names: Andrei Vyshinsky, Taras Shevchenko, Sergey Kuchkin, back to Taras Shevchenko, and finally, Ouravani Stronic. That last name didn't bring any luck. It sat idle from 2020 to 2023, and its scrapping began in 2024 at the Pota Pervy Comuna backwater. The Pota Pervy was a 1960 Project 588 vessel. I actually cruised on her back in 1982 when she was called the Ivan Susanin. It stayed out of work starting in 2013 and spent years in Cherapovets as a floating hotel on the Yegorba River. The hotel closed after 2018, and the ship sat idle until late October 2023 when she was towed to the Pota Pervy Comuna yard to be broken up. Next is the Rylev, built in 1957, Project 588. Because the owner went bust in 2014, the Rylev stopped working in 2014 and was laid up near Nizhny Novgorod. She was scrapped during the winter of 2018 to 2019 at the Pota Pervy Comuna backwater. Then there is the Yuri Dologoruki, a Project 588 built in 1960. She retired after the 1994 season. By the time there was a chance to bring her back, her hull was 70% corroded. She was beyond saving. She was scrapped in the summer of 2012 at the Pota Pervy Comuna backwater. The Sergey Abramov was a 1960 Project 2637. Her previous names were Progress, Druzhba, and Kapitan Rachkov. In her final years, she served as a winter hotel and restaurant at Moscow's Northern River Terminal. Those were the days. I remember walking across the frozen Himki River, heading into the ship's warm bar for tea and crepes. It was pure bliss. But it all ended on November 14, 2011, when a massive fire gutted the interior. The ship sank at the pier from the weight of the water used to fight the flames. It was towed away for scrap a year later. Since then, they don't allow wintering ships to be used as hotels at the terminal. And finally, the Fyodor Shalyapin, Project 92016, built in 1977. After the 2013 season, it never sailed again. It was scrapped in the summer of 2023. And in conclusion, I hope this video wasn't too much of a downer, but you can't run away from reality. Even though these ships are gone, this video will keep their memory alive. River enthusiasts can always watch this and look back on their unforgettable cruises on these ships that have left us forever. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my videos of the river cruisers that are still out there roaming the rivers today.